Sindi worked as a newly hired software developer at a prominent tech firm in downtown Austin. She was doing great, and her manager had just given her a glowing review, along with a bunch of new projects. As the saying goes, the reward for good work is more work. Sindi decided to stay late and finish up some coding tasks, as she was a back-end developer. The rest of the office had cleared out, except for her .as. The hours ticked by. Sindi started to feel the fatigue creeping in. It was 9 p.m., and she decided to take a short break. She stretched out on the couch, closing her eyes for a moment. Before she knew it, she was out cold. In her dream, she saw a young woman in a pool of blood. The woman told her that she was trapped and needed help. Sindi asked her how she could help, but the woman just said she wanted Sindi to come with her. As Sindi reached out to help the woman, she woke up with a start, finding herself on the office couch. She was shaken. Sindi quickly called her friend and told her to make room for her to crash at her place, explaining that she had a terrible dream in the office and couldn't stay there alone. She also called her Uber driver, but he was stuck in traffic. Sindi decided to keep working while waiting for the driver. Her friend called her back around 11 p.m. to check in, and Sindi was still on the line when the office lights suddenly flickered off. She rushed to turn them back on, but her phone lost signal. She tried to reconnect, but it wouldn't work. She attempted to call her friend using the office Skype on her laptop, but before the call could connect, the network went down again. The office lights flickered back on, only to go off again. As she sat in the darkness, Sindi heard a strange noise outside. She got up to investigate, opening the window blind to see what had caused the commotion. That's when she saw a doppelganger of herself walking around the courtyard. Sindi was shocked and frightened, and she quickly closed the window. Fear took hold of her, and she felt a chill run down her spine. She tried to calm herself down and turned the office lights back on. However, one of the bulbs sparked and shattered. Suddenly, someone came knocking at her office door. Sindi heard the sound of footsteps, but she was scared because she was sure she had locked all the doors. Another noise happened outside. And when she looked out the window, she saw someone dressed like a security guard patrolling the area. Sindi screamed for help, but the man turned and looked at her, and his face changed to a bloody, bruised mess. She closed the curtain, her heart racing with fear as she turned back to the room. Her office door swung open by itself. Sindi looked around, but she couldn't see anyone. She was hearing footsteps, and they seemed to be getting closer. She took cover, stopped shouting, and held her breath, trying to calm herself down. Sindi's heart was racing as she cowered under the cover, her eyes fixed on the door as if waiting for something to burst in. The footsteps grew louder, heavier, and seemed to be coming closer. She held her breath, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped right outside her door. There was an eerie silence, as if whatever was outside was waiting for something or someone. Sindi slowly peeked out from under the cover, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of movement. The door creaked slightly, as if the wind had picked up, but Sindi knew it was more than that. As she looked around, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. On her desk, the words "Help ME" were scrawled in red ink, in handwriting that looked eerily familiar. It was her own handwriting, but she had no recollection of writing those words. Panic set in as Sindi realized she was not alone in the office. The woman in her dream, the doppelganger outside, the security guard with the bloody face, it was all too much to handle. She knew she had to get out of there, but her legs felt like lead, and she couldn't move. The silence was broken by the sound of her computer beeping, followed by a low hum. Sindi's eyes widened as she saw her code editor open by itself, and lines of code began to scroll by at an alarming rate. It was as if someone, or something, was using her computer. Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life, and the office was bathed in an eerie glow. Sindi saw a figure standing in the corner of the room, watching her. It was the young woman from her dream, covered in blood, her eyes black as coal. The woman spoke in a voice that was barely audible. "Come with me. Sindi, I'm waiting." Sindi's scream was drowned out by the sound of her own computer crashing to the floor, as the darkness closed in around her. When Sindi came to, she was lying on the floor, her head throbbing with pain. The office was quiet, the lights were steady, and her computer was still. She stumbled to her feet, wondering if it had all been a terrible dream. But as she looked around the room, she saw something that made her heart sink. On her desk, in her own handwriting, was a note that read, "I'm still here. Wait for me." Sindi knew then that she had to get out of there and never look back. She grabbed her things and ran out of the office, not stopping until she was safely outside in the cool night air. She didn't dare look back, fearing what she might see as she hailed a ride, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being watched. She looked around, but there was no one there. Or was there? The car pulled up, and Sindi got in, giving the driver her address. As they drove away from the office, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. But as she looked back at the building, she saw a figure standing in the window.